Hey guys, welcome back to Connerty Meadows Farm. My name is Ricky, and today, along with my husband Thomas, we are going to be making a flushing beam. Flushing beam is used for after you skinned an animal and you're taking that skin and you're either turning it into a hair-on product or a hair-off product. There's only a few small tools you'll need to complete this job. You will need an ABS pipe and two 2x4x8s, some screws, and a saw. Here's the legs of the flushing beam, and then the top part of the flushing beam. You will need some ABS piping, 4 inches wide, and it's 3 feet long. We're going to go ahead and make our first cut at 60 inches. It's going to be a straight cut. You can just set the one piece aside. Now we are going to be moving to a 10-degree, and the rest of our cuts will be made at a 10-degree cut. So we're just going to take the end off of this one so that we're at 10 degrees. Our first real cut is going to be made at 30 inches, and we're actually going to make sure that our angles are facing opposite directions. We're going to use the angle from the other one that we just did and go ahead and make the next cut. Now these two are going to be your legs. And there you go, you can see how they're laid out. Now the extra piece of 2x4 we're just using as a guide in the middle. You can see we're using that 10-degree angle, and we're just going to cut, we're just marking where the next one will go, and again it will also be cut at a 10-degree angle, tip to tip. So go ahead and we're going to measure that and cut, and we're going to make 2 of those. So there's our first one, and here comes our second one. And this is for the 2 sides, you can see, of the legs that are lying on the ground. So one will go on the top, one will go on the bottom. We went ahead and we've grabbed some 3-inch deck screws. Now you can use treated wood if you'd like. We just went ahead and used non-treated. We didn't think that it really mattered that much, but just line them up. Put your screws in, flip it over. Now it does make it easier if you just grab a scrap 2x4 and make the legs level on the bottom there. And you go ahead, put your next couple screws in, and then we're going to get the next measurement. So that first piece that he cut, we just added a 10-degree angle to it. Now you can see how he's using a 2x4 in the middle there for a guide. You want a little bit of play, so we put it in and then did a little bit of play. It's gone ahead, marked where it needed to go. You're cutting 2 of these again, 10-degree angle, and that little scrap of wood there, you're literally only going to have those 2 scrap pieces of wood left. Again, using that 2x4 as a guide, and you will see why it's important that a 2x4 will fit in that space with play. It can't be tight. Make sure you have a 2x4 that can move around in that space. And just go ahead, make sure all the screws are in, and then just like that, your legs are done. Now the long piece that we cut, it's slid in, and you're going to mark at 24 inches, and that's how far down the pipe is going to come. So you can see at 24 inches, that's where the pipe's going to go. Now, you do need to measure this pipe to fit your height. If you're a tall person, you might actually use the full 3 feet of this piping. I am 5'3", so we had to cut off some of this pipe. Regardless of whether you're cutting the pipe or leaving it at 3 feet, you are going to want to cut a 45-degree angle, because this is where you are going to be holding the hide between the top of the pipe and your belly. And you need it to be smooth, but to a tip a little bit. You don't want to be digging your belly in to a straight edge because it will feel very uncomfortable. So you can see there's my 45-degree angle. So because I'm going to be the one mainly doing the flushing, we have cut this to my size. If Thomas was doing the flushing, we probably would have left it at the full 3 feet. We went ahead and we shaved off all the extra sharp edges, made it nice and smooth. You could probably use a hand one to do this, or sandpaper or whatever. We just have the tools, so we obviously just go ahead and use them. Nice and smooth. Nowhere that my hide is going to get wrecked on this. Now we're going to slide it down to the 24-inch mark, and we're going to put the first screw in while the end of the pipe is at the 24-inch mark. You can see essentially this is what it's going to look like. And you can see I'm just checking, yep, it lines up with my belly here. And that's exactly what we want. I want to be able to flush down and have it line up with my belly. And it fit perfectly. But then we did measure it to have to do this. There we go. We just put the first one in. Now you can see how high the 2x4 comes up in there. We're going to measure 6 inches from the bottom and put the next screw in. And we're making sure my arms don't come down. We do not want my arms to be able to reach where the second screw is. So if your arms are longer, then make sure that screws a bit further down. Again, if you're using 3 feet, it won't really matter. Let's take this over to the lawn and show you how it all works put together.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm not going to hit those. They're too far down. My stretch only goes so far. And then you just, yeah.
Here is the design fully done. What I absolutely love about this design is it's fairly inexpensive, it is really easy to make, and it is completely mobile, and it stores really, really well in the seasons that you're not using it. Anybody can do this with just a small saw and some screws, and you will have a beautiful flushing beam.
So when you're done, to store it, right?
As I'm taking this apart, you can see why it was important that when we put the legs on the ground, we put that 2x4 in between them. It is nice to have a little bit of play in there so it slides in and out, okay? Especially if this gets wet for whatever reason and it swells, but it's perfect.
We got it all packed up, ready to move. I can pick it up, move it one-handed. It's a great little tool for me to be able to flush deer hides or sheep hides or goat hides or whatever other hides. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next time.
I did find this design on a YouTube video, and I'm going to go ahead and I will link that video in the description box below to make sure credit is given where credit is due.
It's a little short for you. I don't know if you'd ever be able to adjust it to your height or not. You could do it. Yeah, you could do it.